Good morning, everyone. We are here to discussing about the American era. The American is the first arrived in the Philippines in 1898 when the United States acquired the Philippines from the Spain following the Spanish-American War, marking the beginning of American colonial period in the country. This transfer was officially confirmed by the Treaty of Paris on December 10, 1898. In 1898, the United States arrived in the Philippines after Spain, defeating Spain in the Spanish-American War. Following the war, Spain ceded the Philippines to the U.S. as a part of the peace agreement. This transfer of control was officially confirmed by the Treaty of Paris, signed on December 10, 1898. This event marked the start of the American colonial period in the Philippines, where the US began to establish political economic control over the island.
Teaching and learning method of American era. During the American era, the primary teaching and learning method focused on using English as the sole medium of instruction, emphasizing democratic values and promoting assimilation into American culture through a curriculum heavily based on American ideals and practices. This was often achieved through direct instruction, rote memorization, and a strong focus on standardized testing with the goal of creating a literate population capable of participating in American society. By promoting English, the American authorities aimed to integrate Filipinos into a global, American dominated world, providing them with access to American culture, governance, and ideas, and ensuring uniformity in education.
Next, we have the content in teaching American era, or the content in teaching. So, curricular structure and program were patterned from the US. There were three levels: elementary, secondary, and tertiary. This started at the American era, and until nowadays, we still use it into our education. And new subject areas were introduced. Religion was not included in the curriculum of the schools. Normal, vocational, agricultural, and business. This was the new introduced subjects of the American era. Um, Schools were opened. Schools were also built in non-Catholic areas like Sulu in Mindanao and in Mountain Province. So they not remove exactly, but they did not include it into the educational setting because unlike before, Spanish put the education in put the religion into the education, and it is the major thing that religion in the education, they study about religion. So unlike American era, they improve the content of our education.
So I will be discussing the teachers during the American era. So the first teachers during the American era is our American soldiers. Volunteers, American soldiers were the first teachers in the Philippines. They helped build classrooms and establish an English language education system. So in here, the American soldiers um, were volunteers to teach the Filipino people. They provided books, papers, pencils for them to use. But Um, they don't succeed in their plan or in their educational system that they build because they there came the Thomasites. So the Thomasites is the second teachers who came here in the Philippines. The word Thomasites comes from the word Thomas, wherein it is the U.S. ship that brought them here in the Philippines. So the Thomasites were sent to establish an educational system that would assimilate Filipinos into American culture. So um, they focus more on um, teaching the Filipino people with their American culture, especially the English language. And then lastly are the local teachers, because or some teachers integrated into the local culture and developed long-lasting relationships with their students and communities. So afterwards, the local teachers became the teachers in the Philippines because they were able to study. They were able to study, and some some are sent to the U.S., which is they call um, the pensionados. They call them pensionados, wherein the people who studied in the Philippines and who succeeded in their study, they go to U.S. and wrote the things that they learned in the Philippines.
The question is, what was the curriculum during the American period? Americans are known for their contribution in the educational system and curriculum in the Philippines. Other curricular programs mirrored with the American system. The American system focuses on the elementary and secondary levels. This underwent several changes upon recommendation of the groups organized by the legislative and executive bodies to assess the performance of the school system. This includes the Monroe Educational Survey Committee of 1925, the Bureau of Education Economic Survey of 1928, the Poster Committee to Survey Vocational Education of 1930, and the Quezon Educational Survey Group of 1935. They use the English language as a medium of curriculum. It was mentioned earlier that Thomasites are the group or people of professionals sent by the United States government who are assigned to teach English language. Second is they provide formal education. This includes the primary education, secondary education, as it was mentioned earlier, the intermediate education, and lastly is the educational likewise. With regards to the four pillars of education, Americans are known for their contributions in the educational system and curriculum in the Philippines. The learning to know, and the first pillar, education is free for all, is a means of giving people an orientation towards the democracy. People this time are taught of self-governance or self-government, and English language as a medium of learning and instruction. And it was mentioned earlier again. They emphasizes the three R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And the second pillar, the learning to do. The curriculum gives importance to technical and vocational skills. Up until now, these skills are actively present as we believe that these are needed to prepare the learners to career opportunities. In the third pillar, learning to live together, education emphasizes on this pillar. It emphasizes on democracy and importance of people participation in decision making. And lastly is the fourth pillar, the learning to be. In this fourth pillar, education in this period includes induction of good manner and right conduct, or the GMRC. And so Americans believes that GMRC is a way to teach Filipinos the importance of respecting others and following the rules and civic duty. So these are the main contributions of Americans during the American period and the educational and curriculum in the Philippines.
Act number 74 of the Philippine Commission in January 21, 1901, enacted into law by the Philippine Commission. The Act created a Department of Public Instruction, laid the foundation of the public school system in the Philippines. This law created the Department of Public Instruction, which started the public school system in the Philippines. It made education free for all Filipino children and set up schools across the country. For example, the American teacher called Thomas Sites come to teach in the Philippines, and they use English as a main language in the schools. Section 17, Creation of the Philippines Normal School. Created the Philippine Normal School to train teachers throughout the country. For example, is this school was like a university for training the future teachers. Section 1 to 13, highly centralized system. Highly centralized public school system. The free public school system was run by both chaplains and non-commissioned officers assigned to teach using English as the medium of instruction. Example nito, para kang nag-aaral sa isang paaralan na may mga malinaw na alituntunin galing sa gobyerno. Ang mga guro ay inatasan din mula sa gobyerno na upang sila ay magturo. Act number 2957 in 1921 created the Board of Textbooks for the selection and adoption of textbooks for public schools. This law created the Board of Textbooks to choose which book would be used in public schools. The board made sure that the books were the same for all schools and taught Filipino cultures and history. For example, is the board pick textbook for subject like history and math to be used in schools nationwide. The Constitution and Education in 1935 mandated the maintenance of a complete and adequate system of public education, free public primary instruction, and citizenship training to adult citizens. In this Constitution 1935 stated the government should provide a complete and adequate education system including free public primary education. Ang example nito ay ang mga batang Pilipino ay may karapatang na mag-aral ng libre sa mga paaralang itinatag ng mga gobyerno. Act number 3162 and 3196 in 1925, educational reforms regarding methods and techniques of teaching, supervision, teacher training and curriculum, evaluate of teaching, learning. This law focused on improving the teaching methods and how teachers and the curriculum were evaluated. For example, they changed how lessons were taught in the school to make it easier and more effective. So that's all for today's topic. I hope you learned something about the American era of education in the Philippines. Thank you for listening.